Hey everybody, Neal Weichel with RE/MAX. As we come to the end of April, we're going to talk about something that's been really front and center in real estate, specifically commissions and what's happening with them, okay? You may remember last year I did a report for you, a little video, in which I mentioned that in August of last year, the rules had changed about the way that we as listing agents were going to market your properties in terms of commissions. Specifically, we weren't going to be advertising that we would pay a certain amount to a buyer agent to bring their buyer to your home and write an offer on it. You may remember it, but if you didn't see it, the bottom line was, for 35 years, I always advertised a commission to the agents out there to show my listings, and they knew they'd get paid that if they brought an acceptable offer. Today, I can't do that. I can simply indicate that we're willing to. So what's happened, right? Like, have sellers stopped paying buyer brokers? Last year, I said that they hadn't. And it really remains the same today with a couple of changes. Number one, sellers are very aware that the rules have changed, mostly because the listing agreement that they signed now just has one commission, not two. And they want to push back if they feel like they can. So I went back, and since August of last year, we've sold over 70 homes, and we've seen about 250 offers on those 70 homes. Every single one of them, the agent representing the buyer asked the seller to credit their fee. Every one of them. Now, initially, the sellers universally did it because they were used to and because it was a slow time in the market and they wanted to get their home sold. We're seeing a little bit of pushback on that now. We're seeing sellers say, hey, I'm not going to pay what you're asking, but I'll pay X. Now, why am I saying this? I'm saying this because if you're going to sell your home, make absolutely sure you know exactly what you're paying. I've had two instances in the last week where my seller wasn't aware that he had agreed to pay it, even though it was in the contract and even though we went over it. It's easily confusing. And we wrote an offer on a property in which that seller signed to pay the buyer fee and didn't even know he had done it because the agent didn't explain it to him. Know what you're paying and what you're not paying. In almost every case, sellers are still compensating, but remember, it's a negotiable amount. Now, I bring that up in the context of what I think is going to happen in the future. I think it's going to be market driven, and let me explain what I mean. April is usually one of our very best months. It's the spring selling season. Everybody's out there. Well, no, they're not. How do we know that we're not seeing a really strong spring selling season? Well, there's a lot of ways. Number one, we're not seeing very many showings on our listings. Number two, inventory is doubled in the last calendar year here in Santa Clarita, meaning homes are coming on the market and not selling as quickly. Number three, we're seeing the builders. We have a lot of new construction out here. Double the fee, the compensation, the buyer broker money they're willing to pay if we as agents bring our buyers to those new construction homes. We haven't seen that in years, okay? Trust me, they wouldn't be doubling the fee that they're willing to pay us if they didn't need to do it to move their property, okay? There's other ways we know. I meet with a group of top agents every Tuesday. We go around the room, what's happening with your listing, what's happening, hey, anybody got any buyers for my listing? And almost every week, it's crickets when it comes to how many buyers the people are working with. It's very unusual for April. So to wrap all this up, if the market is slow or slower than expected, which it certainly is right now, sellers are going to say, hey, what do I need to do to get my home sold? I don't want to drop my price, but I'm willing to get all those buyer agents through here and I'll pay their fee. Remember, sellers, if you don't pay that fee, the buyer has to pay it. And that means in many cases that the buyer is going to see that as an extra fee they don't want to pay if they're comparing yours to a home that maybe the seller is willing to pay the buyer fee. Does that make sense? I hope so. So remember, market driven. If the market's going gangbusters, multiple offers on everything, maybe you don't have to pay a buyer broker, or maybe not as much as they're asking. But in a market in which the inventory is up, homes are taking longer to sell, you're competing against builders in some cases that are doing it, it's very smart for sellers to consider compensating buyer brokers to get them to show their home and write an offer. Thank you.